Hey guys, it's Katora here. I know I haven't been recording in a while. I just got over having a really bad cold and I just started a new job. So where I work from 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., that's my training schedule. I'm going to be answering calls for a certain phone service. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to put it on, YouTube or not. So I'm not going to say the name of the cell phone service just yet unless I get permission from the company that I work for. But yes, I'm about to do my review of the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. This is the dreaded Carl episode. So unfortunately, we will no longer hear Rick Grimes say this again. Carl! So yeah, that's going to be very unfortunate for us Uber The Walking Dead fans who are huge fans of Carl, or Coral, as Rick Grimes would say. So I will be taking notes just like Yvette Nicole Brown so I can, stay focused and not like go all over the place like I usually am. So without further ado, and obviously I can't talk either. So without further ado, I shall come back, well, go away and then come back and tell you guys my opinion of the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. Thank you and namaste, I guess, because it's the middle. I don't know. Anyway, enjoy. Hey guys, I'm back and I just finished watching the Season 8 mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. That's definitely quite a mouthful. And if you can't tell behind me, the room is a little bit darker because about an hour or so has passed since I last filmed. But to you guys, it's like 1 or 2 seconds. But first I'd like to start off by talking about the moment Carl realized that he got bit, which is I think the first or second scene. And the look on his face was definitely shock. If I were him, I'd be shocked as well, because out of all the gun training that I've had and dealing with walkers that I've had, it would definitely freak me the fuck out that I let myself get bit. So, the next thing I'd like to talk about is how he just basically got up and just shook it off and started his preparations for the war with the Saviors and Negan, which was freaking epic. And let's see. By the way, when they were doing the recap of Carl and Judith, I think Judith is starting to look more and more like Shane. Has anybody else picked up on that, or is it just me? I hope it's not just me. But the next scene I'd like to talk about was when Henry went up to Carol and asked her if he could fight, and she said no. This kind of reminded me of last season with Ben, Henry's older brother. He wanted to follow Carol and learn the ways of how she uses her gun and knife, and she said no. That same day he was killed by the Saviors. And I'm wondering if the producers and writers were mirroring that situation with this one. But this time, this one was different because Henry did not follow Carol's instructions. He did not stay behind. He actually followed Carol and Morgan to wherever it was they went into battle with Gavin and his Goonies or his minions or whatever. And it ultimately ended up in Gavin's death. He's definitely a character or a savior that I really didn't want to see die. I wanted to see his story carry on. I know I may be crazy about that, crazy for saying that, but sometimes I am on the side of the villains. I know I'm a good person, but a lot of times I tell people I'm such a horrible person. And this is where the horrible part kicks in. Yeah, sometimes I want the saviors to survive because I like their story, I like the character, especially if they're charismatic, like Simon and Negan. But unfortunately, for Gavin, his story ended that night because of Henry behind him, chucked him in the back of the neck with his spear or his stick or his pole or whatever it was, his Zen stick I like to call it. But another scene I'd like to talk about was a couple of those scenes before Gavin's demise. Sorry, I just can't talk today. Was where Morgan killed that savior. When the savior was on top of him, Morgan reached his hand in that guy's wound and pulled out his guts. Now that takes a lot of guts on Morgan's behalf, I'd say. And I know that's a very corny joke and I'm going to use it anyway. But that was the look on Gavin's face when Morgan did that was freaking hilarious. He got the hell out of there quick. And let's see, there's another scene before that. No, there was a scene after that with Morgan and Gavin. Now, when Gavin was hiding in that room, I don't know what it's called, a boxcar, one of those things that you see on the ships all the time. I don't know what it's called. But Gavin was hiding in one of those, and you could see Morgan creeping up behind him, dragging the stick on the ground, which is really great cinematography work. So that's awesome with the Walking Dead producers. That was great. You see the stick dragging on the ground, and you see Morgan's shadow pop up. It was one of those moments you would see in Psycho or Halloween or Jason, Friday the 13th. It was a really great Morgan moment before Gavin had, met his demise by an 8-year-old little boy, Henry. So we're going to stop talking about that for a second. Yes, I've got my handy notes here. That's why I keep looking that way. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is Carl's speech to Judith. That one had me bawling my fucking eyes out. That he gave her his hat that was passed down to him from Rick. And the look on Rick's face while Carl was talking to Judith was, it broke my heart. I never want to see a grown man cry. I think it's because growing up we're always taught that grown men don't cry. So it just breaks my heart when I see a grown man cry because they're actually letting out emotions that they actually have. They have feelings. They're not robots. They are not things without emotions. We have those emotions for a reason. And Rick crying when Carl was giving Judith that speech, which she completely didn't understand because she's like, 2 years old? But anyway, that speech had me like crying my freaking eyes out. It had me missing a lot of characters that had speeches like that. Like, it had me missing Tyrese and Bob, Sasha. It had me missing all those old characters, especially one of my favorite characters, Dale Horvath. One of my biggest favorites. He was Zen just like me, and unfortunately he died, getting his guts ripped out by one walker that Carl just happened to let go. So anyway, let's see. Another part that had me almost in tears was the part where he called Michonne his best friend, and Michonne called him her best friend. And I think that relationship has been going on for 5 seasons, but I think in the show it's been going on for about 3, maybe about 3 years. No, maybe about 2 years, because Judith was already born and she's about 2 years old now in the Walking Dead timeline. So I think that the moment where they bonded was when she went with Carl, to go get the picture of his mom and his dad and himself so he could show Judith so she can grow up knowing what her mom looks like. That was the day that they bonded over that picture and that freaky ass looking cat sculpture that Michonne loved so much. And I'm almost finished. And I think one of the other parts that really had me emotional is where Carl took his own life. I, for one, would not have liked to see a Walker Carl, because that would ruin the story for me. That would almost ruin The Walking Dead. We did see a Walker Merle. We saw a Walker Sasha. We didn't exactly see a Walker Tyrese. We didn't get to see a Walker Bob. Thank God I didn't get to see a Walker Dale or a Walker Noah, but those are all a lot of my favorite characters. And we didn't get to see a Walker Beth. Thank goodness for all those non-Walkers that we saw. And I would hate to have seen a Walker Carl. So I'm glad they didn't show him coming out of the church or whatever that place was, stumbling. And I'm just glad I'm glad they didn't even show him, taking his own life. They just showed the shot from a different, from inside, from outside. They showed the shot. They showed Rick's reaction, and they showed Michonne's reaction. And I think that's it. That's all that needs to be done. We heard the gunshot. We saw the reactions of those he loved the most. And that was it. That was perfect. And the very last thing I'd like to talk about in this video, in this tribute to Carl, is the second to last scene. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Gray-haired Negan working along with Rick in Rick's farm in Alexandria. Oh my freaking god. You know, I'm gonna just say it, oh my fucking god. I was like, what is going on? To have seen that really shook the foundation of The Walking Dead for me. I know I'm being over dramatic with this, because I am. I can be that way sometimes. I can be over dramatic. But this was an over dramatic. This moment in The Walking Dead history deserved that over dramatic moment for me, because that was epic. The fact that Negan killed Glenn and killed Abraham right in front of Rick. And to show that Rick and Negan were working side by side in Alexandria, that's what Carl wanted. That's what Carl wanted. And I'm glad they showed that. And to wrap this up, I'm going to say I'm going to miss you, Carl. I'm going to miss you, Chandler Riggs. You were amazing. We saw you grow up for 8 seasons. And where the hell did that beard come from, by the way? You played a 14-year-old with a beard. Okay. So, alright. But we're going to miss you. And good luck on all your adventures. You're incredibly young and you're incredibly talented. And we all look forward to what you have to give the world after The Walking Dead. And thank you to all my subscribers, all 27 of you. Please tell your friends to subscribe to me. Thank you. And stay safe, you guys. Do not text and drive. I've seen so many people doing that, and stop it. Please just stop it. Love each other, give each other hugs, and you know, in this ugly, crazy world that's going on right now, be like Negan and Rick in Carl's Dream. Just love each other. Put all the petty bullshit behind you. And peace and namaste. Until next time, y'all.